October 2nd, 2025. A limousine speeds through the Utah night, carrying one of hip-hop's biggest stars to a tour rehearsal. Inside the back seat, an argument erupts. The driver pulls over, trying to de-escalate. Moments later, police dispatch crackles to life. An officer reports a rapper threatened to hit and shoot someone before fleeing. The victim, a limo driver with a swollen jaw. His attacker, Playboi Carti. But here's what makes this story different. This wasn't the first time, and according to police records spanning nearly a decade, it reveals a pattern that's impossible to ignore. We're diving deep into the documented history of one of rap's most influential and controversial figures, because understanding the full picture means looking beyond the music, beyond the hype, and into the moments when fame, anger, and violence collided. This is the story of Playboi Carti's pattern of public altercations. Before drilling into what happened in Utah, let's establish who Playboi Carti actually is, because his cultural impact makes these incidents even more significant. Born Jordan Terrell Carter in Atlanta, Carti burst onto the scene in 2017 with his breakout hit Magnolia. The track became inescapable. His self-titled debut mixtape peaked at number 12 on the Billboard 200. He'd found his lane, blending atmospheric production with minimalist flows and an infectious energy that felt completely fresh. By 2018, his debut album Die Lit cemented his status as a generational talent. Critics praised its experimental approach. Fans obsessed over every leak, every snippet, every cryptic Instagram post. Then came 2020's Whole Lotta Red, an album so polarizing it sparked instant debate. Some called it trash, others called it genius. It debuted at number 1, selling over 100,000 units in its first week. Rolling Stone would later rank it among the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. Fast forward to 2025. Carti's third album, Music, hit number 1 on the Billboard 200. He became the first artist ever to debut 31 songs simultaneously on the Billboard Hot 100. His feature on Carnival with Kanye West and Thank You $sign gave him his first number 1 single. He'd been nominated for Grammys. He won Billboard's R&B Hip Hop Artist of the Year in 2024. With over 46 million monthly Spotify listeners, Playboi Carti wasn't just successful. He was influential, pioneering the rage rap microgenre and inspiring countless artists through his Opium label. But success and influence don't exist in a vacuum, and throughout Carti's rise, a darker pattern emerged. In police reports, court documents, and witness statements, a pattern of alleged violence that demands examination. Let's start at the beginning. July 2017, Los Angeles International Airport. Playboi Carti, then 20 or 21 years old, was witnessed in a heated argument with a woman reported to be his girlfriend. According to witnesses and police reports, the argument turned physical. Carti was seen pushing her. Then, in an apparent attempt to end the confrontation, he grabbed her by her backpack and forced her into an Uber. Airport police arrested him on the spot. The charge? Domestic battery. He was released the same day on a $20,000 bond. It should have been a watershed moment. A young artist on the cusp of fame facing serious allegations. But what happened next set a troubling precedent. The Los Angeles city attorney declined to file charges. Instead, they arranged an informal hearing between Carti and his girlfriend, essentially a conflict resolution session with no legal consequences. By August 2017, barely a month later, the case was cleared. Carti walked away without a conviction, without a trial, without any public accountability beyond the initial arrest report. At the time, Magnolia was climbing the charts. Die Lit was in production. The incident faded from public consciousness as quickly as it appeared, but it established the foundation of a pattern that would repeat. February 2018, Gretna, Scotland. Carti was on tour, riding high off his breakout success. During the tour, an altercation occurred on the tour bus. According to police reports and court documents, Carti punched the bus driver. The confrontation also resulted in property damage, specifically breaking one of the driver's windows. Unlike the LAX incident, this one had consequences. In January 2019, nearly a year after the assault, Carti was convicted in Scottish court. He was fined £800, roughly $900, for the assault itself. An additional £386 was levied for the property damage. Total penalty? Just over $1,000. No jail time, no probation, just a fine that, for an artist of Carti's growing wealth, amounted to pocket change. The incident received minimal press coverage at the time, most fans didn't even know it happened. Those who did often dismissed it as tour stress, as a one-off altercation blown out of proportion. But it marked the second time Carti's name appeared in police records for alleged violence. The pattern was forming, even if no one was connecting the dots yet. April 2nd, 2020, Clayton County, Georgia. This arrest was different, not because of violence this time, but because it revealed how Carti was operating behind the scenes. Police pulled over his Lamborghini for an expired license plate tag, a routine traffic stop, but what officers found inside the vehicle was anything but routine. 12 bags of marijuana, 3 firearms, Xanax, codeine, oxycodone. The Clayton County Sheriff's Office, specifically their Cobra Strike Force unit, took Carti into custody along with another passenger. He was charged with marijuana possession, improperly passing an emergency vehicle, and failing to display an updated license plate decal. Notably, he wasn't charged with the weapons or harder drugs found in the vehicle, likely due to legal complexities around possession and ownership. Carti posted bond and was released the next morning. Once again, serious charges resulted in minimal consequences. The arrest happened during the early COVID-19 pandemic, a time when courts were backlogged and many cases were quietly resolved. The outcome of these specific charges remains unclear, but Carti continued touring, recording, and building his career without any apparent interruption. What this arrest revealed, though, was a lifestyle: guns, drugs, and recklessness. Combined with the previous violence allegations, a picture was emerging of someone operating without real accountability. And that lack of accountability would soon prove dangerous. December 20th, 2022, Fulton County, Georgia. This is where the pattern turned undeniably serious. According to police reports and court documents, Carti's girlfriend at the time, who was 14 weeks pregnant, arrived at his property to discuss their unborn child. The conversation turned to a paternity test. An argument erupted, and according to the woman's statement to police, that argument became violent. She told officers that Carti grabbed her by the throat and pushed her. She stated he held her neck until she could barely breathe. In her words, she thought she was going to die. A witness intervened, allowing her to escape to her car. But according to her account, Carti followed her. He allegedly tried to pull her out of the vehicle, covering her mouth as she attempted to use the car's SOS feature to call for help. When police arrived, they documented visible injuries on the woman's neck, chest, and back.
How did he attack you?
I'm standing there, and he just ran up on me and grabbed me by my neck. Pushed me down on 30. The trees, I think I scraped my back.
Oh, so you was outside?
I think.
Yeah.
Can you change the address?
I couldn't see. I would have just hurt me.
The evidence was clear. The charges reflected the severity: felony aggravated assault, hindering a person from making an emergency telephone call. This wasn't a minor altercation. This was domestic violence with physical evidence and witness corroboration. Carti was arrested on December 29th, 2022, 9 days after the alleged incident. He was released on a $100,000 bond the following day. His attorney, Brian Steele, issued a statement claiming Carti was falsely accused and that the Fulton County District Attorney's Office would dismiss the case without prosecution. Whether that actually happened remains unclear. Public records don't show a definitive resolution. What is clear is that no trial occurred, and Carti continued his career uninterrupted. The incident drew significant public attention for one reason. Carti's ex, rapper Iggy Azalea, with whom he shares a son named Onyx, broke her silence. In a series of tweets, she wrote, "Imagine having a pregnant girlfriend and pretending they don't exist until it comes out. You like to abuse them too. And rarely visiting your actual son, unless it's because you're running from whatever problems you got going on in Atlanta and the press with your serial abuse of women." She followed up with, "Karma's real. Treat the people you love well." Iggy's statement was the first time someone close to Carti publicly accused him of a pattern of abuse. She used the phrase, serial abuse of women, not one incident, not an isolated mistake, a pattern. And yet, even with felony charges, even with public accusations from a fellow celebrity, Carti faced no lasting consequences. The case seemingly disappeared. The tour continued. The album cycle rolled on. So when news broke about Utah, some wondered, would this time be different? Which brings us back to October 2nd, 2025. Park City, Utah. The Antagonist tour was about to kick off with a show at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City the next night. Carti and his girlfriend, Brazilian model Giovanna Ramos, known as Gio, were being driven from the Waldorf Astoria to a rehearsal. The driver? Carl Reynolds, working for ALC, a limousine connection. According to Reynolds' statement to police, an argument broke out in the back seat between Carti and Gio. Reynolds told authorities the fight was escalating to a point where he felt uncomfortable. He wanted to de-escalate and separate them. Carti had 2 SUVs for his entourage. Reynolds contacted the security guard in the second vehicle and suggested moving Carti and Gio into separate cars. Reynolds pulled over on the highway near Heber City. When he stopped, according to the police report, everyone exited the vehicles. Reynolds claims that Carti became upset and hit his girlfriend. Reynolds admitted he didn't directly witness the strike, but he saw Gio hunched over, holding near her chest afterward. Then, according to Reynolds, Carti turned on him. As Gio was exiting the vehicle, Carti allegedly punched Reynolds in the left side of his face without warning. Reynolds later told local news outlet KSL, "I turned my head for just a brief minute off to the right-hand side, and he hits me in the face. Punches me in the face." Wasatch County deputies arrived at the scene. They documented visible redness on Reynolds' jaw. The police report noted marks consistent with the space on a fist or open hand between knuckles. Reynolds' injuries were photographed. Another driver from the same limousine company witnessed the altercation, corroborating Reynolds' account. When police interviewed those present, both Gio and Carti's security guard initially tried to take the blame. Gio said she hit the driver. The security guard also claimed responsibility. But Carti admitted the truth. According to the police report, Carti told officers he punched Reynolds for stopping in a weird place and dropping them off. That admission is crucial. Carti didn't deny it. He confessed to striking the driver, justifying it by claiming the stop location was inappropriate. When asked if there was a way to resolve the matter immediately, police informed him the case would need to go through the court process. Carti complied with photos of his hands, but refused to allow photos of his face, for identification purposes. He was issued a citation for assault, a Class B misdemeanor in Utah. But there's more. Dispatch audio obtained by TMZ reveals an even more disturbing detail. One officer reported that Carti threatened to hit and shoot a second driver, Lance Hayes, before fleeing in a vehicle. Police searched for Carti and located him down the street. Carti was cited for assaulting Carl Reynolds, but crucially, he was not charged with the alleged threat made to Lance Hayes. Despite the citation, Carti performed his scheduled show in Salt Lake City the next night. The tour continued, and in a move that mirrors the 2022 incident, Gio posted fake news on her Instagram story, seemingly denying the assault allegations against her. The statement was vague, not directly addressing whether she herself was assaulted or whether the driver's account was accurate. Under Utah law, a Class B misdemeanor assault charge carries penalties of up to 6 months in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. Carti is due back in court in December 2025. But based on the pattern, based on history, what are the chances he faces meaningful consequences? Let's step back and look at the full timeline. 2017, arrested for domestic battery at LAX. No charges filed. 2019, convicted of assaulting tour bus driver in Scotland. Fined roughly $1,000. 2020, arrested with drugs and firearms in Georgia. Outcome unclear, no significant penalties. 2022, arrested for felony aggravated assault of pregnant girlfriend. Case apparently dismissed or resolved without trial. 2025, cited for assaulting limo driver in Utah. Case pending, 5 incidents, 5 different jurisdictions, 8 years. And throughout this entire span, Playboi Carti has continued to thrive professionally. #1 albums, Grammy nominations, sold-out arena tours, millions of streams, partnerships with major brands. The lack of accountability isn't just about Carti. It's about an industry that consistently chooses profit over principle. When an artist generates hundreds of millions in revenue, when they're a cultural tastemaker, when they have legions of fans defending every action, the incentive to hold them accountable diminishes. Labels protect their investments, promoters keep booking shows, fans rationalize or dismiss allegations, and victims, they're left in the shadows, their experiences minimized or ignored. Carl Reynolds, the Utah limo driver, told TMZ he's considering legal action, but mainly wants to ensure Carti doesn't hurt anyone else. That statement is telling. Reynolds isn't primarily seeking financial compensation, he's seeking accountability. He's trying to prevent future violence. But without systemic change, without consequences that actually deter behavior, the pattern will likely continue. It's worth noting the industry context. Hip-hop has long grappled with how to address violence and misconduct by its stars. From domestic violence cases involving Dr. Dre, Chris Brown, and XXXTentacion, to ongoing debates about separating art from artist, the conversation remains unresolved. Some argue that an artist's personal life shouldn't affect appreciation of their music. Others contend that supporting artists who commit violence enables and perpetuates that violence. Playboi Carti's case isn't happening in isolation. It's part of a broader cultural question. What do we do when the people we admire, whose art we love, cause harm? And more importantly, what message does it send to victims when their abusers face no meaningful consequences? Carti's influence on modern hip-hop is undeniable. He pioneered the rage rap sound that defines a generation of artists. His Opium label has launched careers, his fashion choices have influenced trends, his production style has reshaped what trap music can sound like. But influence and talent don't erase harm. They make accountability even more important because of the platform and power they provide. Fans often defend Carti by pointing to the lack of convictions. Innocent until proven guilty, they'll say. And legally, that's correct. But there's a difference between legal guilt and documented pattern behavior. When police reports from multiple jurisdictions over 8 years all describe similar incidents, arguments escalating to violence, witnesses present, physical evidence documented, the pattern becomes impossible to dismiss as coincidence or false accusations. Moreover, the phrase "innocent until proven guilty" applies to the legal system. It doesn't mean society, fans, or the industry can't make informed judgments based on documented evidence. Carl Reynolds has photos of his injuries. Police documented marks consistent with being struck. Carti admitted to punching him. That's not speculation, that's documented fact. The question isn't whether these incidents happened. The question is what consequences, if any, will follow. And based on history, the answer appears to be minimal to none. Carti's tour is proceeding as scheduled. His next album will likely debut at number 1. The cycle continues. There are real-world implications to this lack of accountability. It tells victims that coming forward may not matter. It tells potential offenders that fame provides insulation. It tells the public that violence is acceptable if you're talented enough, successful enough, popular enough. Those aren't messages any society should send. So where do we go from here? The Utah case is pending. December court date looming. Carti could face up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine if convicted. But if history repeats, the outcome will likely be far less severe. A fine, maybe probation, possibly a plea deal that results in no jail time. The tour will continue, the music will keep streaming, and the pattern, it remains unbroken. Understanding these stories matters. Not to cancel Carti, not to erase his contributions to music, but to demand that talent doesn't exempt anyone from accountability. Carl Reynolds has a story. The unnamed women involved in previous incidents have stories. Their experiences are real, their injuries documented, their trauma valid. If you found this investigation compelling, subscribe for more deep dives into the untold stories shaping hip-hop and pop culture. We analyze the patterns the industry doesn't want examined, document the incidents that get buried, and ask the questions others avoid, because understanding how power protects the powerful helps us demand better. Sometimes the people creating the art we love are also causing real harm. Recognizing that contradiction doesn't diminish the music, it confronts the reality behind it.